You're listening to Let's Stay Together Anime Break, our new sub-series where we chat about the 2019 anime Fruits Basket. I'm Ellen.
And I'm Kayla.
And today we're discussing episode 3 of the anime. I think we briefly chatted about episodes 1 and 2 in an earlier episode of our podcast. And basically, like, episodes 1 and 2 of the anime kind of follow the manga chapters 1 to 3 pretty closely. So if you want details about discussion about those things, you can listen to episode 1 of our podcast, which is called They're All Animals, and episode 2, which is called Secret Base. The kind of like overall agenda of this sub-series Anime Break is that we're going to talk about episodes of the new anime and kind of hopefully it'll be like a short episode, and we'll compare some of it to the manga, since basically the overall objective of Let's Stay Together is to talk about the manga. So we're going to follow the same format that we always follow, which will be a little summary, a discussion, and then if there are spoilers that we want to talk about, I will cut in some music and we'll have spoilery discussion after the music. Kayla, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
My voice is back, so that's helpful. All right. So for episode 3 of the 2019 anime, this episode was cool. It follows the manga pretty closely, I thought, but it does cut together 2 chapters that are pretty far apart. So it cuts together chapter 4 and chapter 8, which is really interesting. So if you want more information about those, you can also listen to our episodes, our podcast episode, Secret Base, and the other one is episode 4, which is called The Umiboshi. It's a metaphor, Kyo. So the anime episode opens with some content from chapter 8, where they've announced Yuki and like the other class rep, the girl with glasses, I think, are announcing that they have the results of the voting that they're going to be doing in Onigiri stand for the Culture Day. And I also wondered what their other... Because I think in the manga it's just like, okay, we're getting ready for the Onigiri stand. Like, they didn't talk about all the other ideas they had, so I looked at the board to see what was written there. And it looked like what was written was dance. It was like dance. And then there was, I think maybe... It just says furanku furuto. So I can't tell if it's like frankfurters, like they're going to sell hot dogs. I don't know. It's not a term that I've heard before for hot dogs in Japanese, but whatever. Or maybe it's something else. That's what I read. I don't know. Anyway, it also looks like it says haunted house. It says Obakeya Shiki is haunted house. It's kind of like cut off around the other class rep's head. Then there was some kanji I couldn't read. And then also the last one was then it was said onigiri stand, then maid cafe. So the other ideas I thought were really funny. I was like, oh, maid cafe. Like, can you imagine if Yuki had worn the dress at a maid cafe?
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been fitting. But anyway, so the class decided to do the onigiri stand. In the episode, the next thing that happens is, of course, Kyo suggest different things to do with the fillings, and Kyo suggests the battle. And everybody's like, no. And then his friends are there in the anime, of course, to call him Kyokyo, which was great. The cats show up, and the cats are adorable in the anime. I was so excited. I was like, yes. And then when he stands up, a bunch of them like flop off. And then he goes to the roof, and then Toru gets him to come back. And then the opening theme song plays, and then there's kind of a hard cut to the events of chapter 4 of the manga, which is Toru, Hana, and Uo asking Kyo to play Daihin Min with them. And it basically follows the manga plot again. And I also liked how in the anime that Kyo and Uo's friendship that's based on arguing begins in this episode, which was really great. In the library, there's a girl who confesses to Yuki. Cut back to them playing cards, and then Hana does this, like, what I call her magical girl reverse revolution. Like, she does this, like, spin transition and stuff. And I thought that was really funny when we watched this. And then Yuki hovers outside, and he's hesitant to go in. We had the same scene of Kyo cleaning the classroom, and then Yuki kicks the shit out of him. I thought it was funny in the anime while they're fighting, Toru is kind of off screen, so it'll be like full shot of Kyo's face, full shot of Yuki's face, and Toru's off, kind of, her face is like cut off, but it's like, you can see her like looking back and forth between them nervously, and I thought that was really funny. And then she also asked Kyo if he bit his tongue, which I thought was funny because we talked about it in our episode. And then the next scene is Toru goes to work, which is what happens in chapter 4 of the manga. But then we get the cut where it's like from chapter 8, and she meets. So like, Kayla, this is a note to you. But I also want to avoid anime spoilers in this. This is supposed to be for spoiler-free discussion. So we meet the blonde, mysterious blonde boy who we met in the office building in chapter 8 of the manga. And I know you and I watched this together. We watched the dub together, but I watched the Japanese version as well, and he spoke German in the Japanese version as well. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, I thought it was great, and I thought it was cute. So then, after that scene, we transitioned back to chapter 4, the scene where Yuki picks Toru up from work, and then we got to see precious rat Yuki walking on his back legs all the way home. And then they got home and it was the garden scene, and the garden scene was really good. It was just as good. We got to see Yuki's preciously animated smile at the end, and it was great. On the way between the house and the garden, so between the house and the garden, there was a little break kind of from like the manga. There's a little divergence from the manga where Toru's walking down the hill after Yuki and she slips and then he catches her wrist. And I thought that was nice. It wasn't like overdone. I feel like it would have been an opportunity where they could have had him like transform or something, but I'm glad that they didn't. So then they cover the garden with the tarp, and Yuki says that she's kind, and her reaction to being kind is like even more adorable, freaking out when it's animated, which I thought was nice too. And then we see Kyoko in her memory, Toru's memory again. And someone, I think on Tumblr, I don't remember who the user was, but someone pointed out that in Toru's memories, Kyoko's mouth never moves. Like they're all stills, which is interesting. I don't really have a comment.
I feel like I see that in anime relatively often, where like they'll do like a flashback and it's just kind of a still image with like dialogue overlaying it.
Because I guess it's like, because Toru's talking about her memory. It's not like she's remembering her mom saying that. It's how it's done in the anime. I think in the manga, it's like a full cutscene away to her memory, and you can see her, or like Toru's mom is talking in the memory. But in this case, it's like Toru's like maybe inner monologue or dialogue. I can't remember if she's talking. But it's her. I think she's talking. I think she's talking to Yuki. So it's kind of like her dialogue is overlaid with her memory of her mother. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Interesting choice. So then the next day, they cut in the scene where Toru is making onigiri. And so which was also really great, animated, the one where she says that Toru makes the metaphor about an onigiri being on, or like a umeboshi being on Kyo's back, like the umeboshi on an onigiri.
Yeah, and I like the weirdly psychedelic onigiri in that scene.
The psychedelic one?
Yeah, remember it?
Oh, yeah!
It's like, oh, I'm just plain rice. It was all like...
Yeah,
scribbly animated and had like multiple colors going on.
It looked like one of those like scratch, where you like have like a colored thing and then it has like black wax on top and you like scrape it off. It kind of looks like that. Yeah. It was interesting. It was a different choice than the style of the other one where it's like little onigiri with stick figure arms. Like it still had that, but then it was slightly different, which was nice. Yeah, I liked it. The psychedelic onigiri.
I like in animation in general when they use like a style change to indicate like like something like a dream sequence or a flashback or something different from the normal thing they're talking about. So I like when they do something weird like that.
Yeah, in this case it's like her metaphor. She's explaining her metaphor. Yeah, it was interesting. I enjoyed that. And I wasn't expecting it, so it was kind of a nice touch, I think. And then there's a little bit of a divergence where instead of the leeks being like whatever leeks in liver, Toru makes the leeks into onigiri. So it's like because they combined those chapters together. So Yuki shoves the onigiri in Kyo's mouth, which was also hilarious, and it kind of like flashed between them while they were talking, and I thought that the way that it was constructed was really funny. And Kyo, it's like Toru's talking, I think, over them or something. It's the part where it transitions into her thinking about if they got along, what it would be like. And like Yuki's holding the onigiri in Kyo's mouth, and you can see that he's like shaking or like shivering or whatever. That was really funny. And then of course at the end Kagura appears. So that was like a little summary of the episode. And then in terms of like things that I wanted to discuss with you beyond what we already just discussed, I really enjoyed the background music in the anime. I saw a post where someone was like, I miss the old music from the other anime, but I don't know. I like the style of this. I think it really complements the visuals. There's a specific one that I want to call out when we talk about episode 4, but like it has this nice. It's a lot of like orchestral sounding or kind of like instrumental. That's not to, I don't know how to describe it, like synthesized, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I haven't really consciously noticed any of it, but I guess that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. I started, well, like, I didn't really notice it when I started watching the subtitle version, so I had to pay attention to the dialogue, like to the text, and then you were talking about, then we watched the dub together, and you were like, oh, I like it because I don't have to like pay attention to the text, which is nice, and that was when I noticed it the first time. So then this time when I watched it, I went back home and watched it. I paid more attention to it, and I feel like it's adding a lot to the emotional kind of tone of some of the scenes without being overpowering, which is nice.
Yeah. I feel, side note, I'm still enjoying both the sub and the dub pretty equally.
Yeah,
they're both
me too.
Really good.
Me too. The dub is really good. I just like happen to
I usually just like fully watch the episode in one or the other, and then kind of like go back and listen to a couple things in the opposite one.
We just happened to be together, and we happened to watch it, watch the dub together. But I don't know. I just wanted to. We hadn't watched it, so I watched the sub. But they're both great. They just have different, whatever. The actors are different, so they bring different qualities to it. But it's all good. They're both really nice.
Yeah. Like, this is not for this episode, but like I watched the one with Kagura last night in the sub, but then I went, oh, I wonder what Kyo calls Shisho in the dub, and so I checked like that scene in the dub.
What does he call him?
His master.
Okay, nice. Okay, interesting.
Like my master, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't.
The subtitle said like my martial arts master.
Yeah.
The subtitle, and then like I was like, I wonder if they have him say Shisho, or if they translated that into something, because that's too long to
explain or something.
A thing in the dub, and so they just said like my master taught me and stuff. So
it's nice. The roof scene is really nice. I guess that's the next one. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. We'll talk about it. So I also thought that it was really interesting in both this version, the 2019 version, and the 2001 version of the anime. Both of them pair these chapters together, which is an interesting choice. I think they certainly pair things where like Yuki and Kyo are envious of each other, kind of together, or really closely together. Like, it's one episode after another, whereas like in the anime it's several chapters apart. Like, there's a bunch of things that happen in between, and I think it's nice I think it's a good narrative choice.
Yeah, I think I liked what it's done, and it's interesting because it's still like really accurate to the manga. It's just they've like moved things around. Like, everything that happens on screen is still really accurate to what happens in the text. Like, scene by scene is accurate. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good choice both for like condensing it, which you need to do for a adaptation like this, because it condenses things where like scenes with Toru at work and the scenes with the leaks. Yeah. Or chives, whatever they are. Whatever the fuck. Yeah. Yes. Like, just combining like the first time he shoved it into his mouth to the time when he freaks out about it being in the onigiri. Just kind of combine those things. Yes. But I also think it's good for the pacing of the first like dramatic thing. I guess it's kind of spoilers, but to give Toru longer, it makes it seem like Toru's in the house longer before things start to shake up. That's true. Which I think when you're reading it, it seems slower, because reading is naturally a slower act than watching something. Yes, you're right. I think in the anime, it would seem like it happened really quickly. So I think it's a good pacing choice. Yeah, you're right. That's the part the part you're talking about is what gets removed from, or like it's what happens in between. Pulled out of the middle. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a good choice. It also teases the culture festival too earlier. So like they talk about it happening, and then there's stuff that happens in between. Like, I find sometimes in the manga, things get teased and then they immediately get delivered on like very quickly within the same chapter or like the next one. Yeah. So it's nice that there's like it's broken up a little bit. It feels more like a natural timeline rather than things happening because things are happening in the series. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was a good choice. I liked the changes, for lack of a better word. I like them too. That's why I suggested that we have this discussion, because it's different enough now. The pace is different enough that I thought it'd be interesting to talk about that choice narratively. Yeah, like there wouldn't have been much to discuss about if we did on chapter 1 and chapter 2, because it's basically like, yes, it's exactly as it happened in the manga. Exactly, I think all there is some like scene flips. Yeah, and there's like, there's a scene that takes place in a slightly different location or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I don't have any other things that are not. I have a couple little spoilery things to say. I'll play a little music and we'll talk a couple of spoilers, and then that'll be it for this discussion about episode 3 of the 2019 anime. So thank you for listening and for tuning in. Next time we're going to talk about episode 4. You can find us at staytogetherpodcast.com. We're on Tumblr, we're on Twitter. Are we anywhere else? I don't know. We're in like every kind of Play Store. I don't remember. Yeah, thanks for listening. All right, bye.
Bye. I was just gonna say we're in your local Target. So we're back to talk about spoilers from episode 4 of the anime. I mean, episode 3 of the anime. Sorry. I got because I looked at my notes and it says that it pairs chapters 4 and 8 together. And it's interesting. The only reason I made that note in the spoiler section is because someone asked a question and I responded to it on Tumblr recently. Well, I mean, it was a while ago because I was sick last week, basically, essentially. But I was looking at something at the end of the manga, and like this whole thing about the relationship between Yuki and Kyo kind of being each other, that's not settled until like almost the last chapter, which I thought was really interesting. I kind of forgot about that. We haven't really talked about it in the manga discussion, but I'll throw it out here that it gets resolved so late. It's very interesting. Yeah. So basically the whole series, they are super envious of each other, and that doesn't get resolved. Narratively, it's interesting that the cultural festival, I alluded to it, but the culture festival, like because Momiji is introduced, it also kind of like he gets introduced and then it's left hanging, and then he'll come back at the culture festival. So like it's nice that things get set up a little bit earlier in this structure that is happening in the anime right now, which is nice. Yeah, and of course the thing I was vaguely alluding to is her going back to her family's house.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
Pretty quickly in the manga, I think it's like it's not even the last chapter of the first volume. It's like the second to last chapter of the first volume.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, it doesn't take very long from her being introduced and settling into having the drama of her maybe going back to her family's house. So I think making her have longer to kind of settle in and feel comfortable in the Soma household before getting that potentially yanked away from her is a good pacing choice.
Yeah, I think so. She meets I think she meets Kagura then before this as well. Actually, I think, is that the same? Yeah, that is the same. Yeah, because the setup at the end
episode came like
it's right before.
Yeah.
In the episode with Kagura, it's the same structure where she goes to the library and then she gets called from the library. So yeah, I guess it is the same.
Yeah, I think they have like the Daihinmen chapter and then Kagura and then
and then immediately and then after that it's all the ones with like Kyo and Yuki continuing to envy each other, I think comes after. So, and then the one where her friends visit and stuff, which I'm sure will be after. So yeah, it was nice. I don't know. I thought it was a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. It was a good episode. Yuki's smile was good. I like Yuki's little rat form. I noticed that he has, like in the anime, it's really abstract. This isn't a spoiler, I guess, but in the anime it's very abstract, but then he has his little, you can see like the little fur by his like rat tail and stuff. Like there's just way more detail in the animal forms, which is nice. And Kagura as a little boar is cute. Spoiler for next episode. Enjoying
well, you can see her in the ending.
Yeah, that's true.
Animation. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the animal forms in the new anime. I think they're super cute.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, those are my little minor spoilers. Did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. So in that case, next time we'll talk about episode 4 in the anime break. And that's it for now. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.